A Doll's House, written by Henrik Ibsen, is a play which examines the normal roles of men and women in the 19th century. As the play progresses, Nora Helmer demonstrates the traditional standards that women had during that period. Due to the fact that this play was written in the 19th century, a patriarchal society was customary in this time. This play does quite the opposite of what the norm was. It essentially stimulates the topic of feminism. As the play advances, the common theme that comes across is that of how a woman overcomes a social obstacle to attain a goal, that woman being Nora Helmer. Ibsen's play treats the self-revelations of Nora as a conventional journey, which represents the search for identity. The play raises many questions in regards to how women are very submissive towards men and how the power of a woman is essentially undervalued. Truth being, that is how it functioned during this era. In a patriarchy, the men were the ones in the household who were dominant. Equivalent to the play, Nora is quite literally considered the property of her husband, Torvald Helmer. Crazy, right? Unfortunately, women were considered less human back then, which is really harsh if you ask me. This idea that women were deemed to be property was tremendously portrayed in the play. Given that Torvald was the predominant figure in this play, and Nora was a subsidiary one, is the biggest sign that the whole concept of her being property was shown throughout. Some examples of this would include at the very beginning of the play where Helmer calls Nora a squirrel. He states, "That's not my Skylark, which we're doing there. Yeah, it's not my squirrel I'm talking about. Yeah." Now, I'm not quite sure whether or not this is in a fun-loving tone, but it does definitely come across as controlling, therefore displaying to us that Nora is somewhat of a bondswoman. Nonetheless, Nora does not seem to be troubled by her being treated in such a way at first, but later as the play progresses, it is evident that Nora does not in fact like the way that she is being treated by her husband. In reality, she is attempting to break free from what she is trapped under by Torvald. One way that a reader can tell that she is trying to get away from the life her husband is giving her is by doing things under his nose. For instance, when Torvald asks, "When did my squirrel come home?" and Nora responds with "just now," as she is putting the bag of macaroons into her pocket and wiping her mouth. This is a great example of Nora essentially doing acts of disobedience towards her husband. Towards the middle of Act 1, a great secret is divulged. Nora is having a conversation with Miss Lind in which she exposes herself. Nora illegally borrowed money for the trip that she and Torvald took to Italy. She had told Torvald that the money had come from her father. For years, Nora reveals she has worked and saved in secret, slowly repaying the debt, and that soon it will be fully repaid. Now you might be wondering why this is displayed as a bad thing in the play. Well, for starters, Nora is a female, and females do not take on such responsibilities that Nora took in this case. In Nora's mind, she had fully believed that she was doing the right thing. This is a form of disobedience toward her husband, but she explains that there is a legitimate reason for her actions. She claims that it is due to her father's way of upbringing her. Her father controlled her from childhood. As the saying goes, the stricter the parent, the rebellious the child will turn out to be, which in this case, it is in fact true. In Act 2, it is implied that Nora would sneak into the maid's room and talk about quote-unquote entertaining things. If the truth be told, Nora was controlled by her father previously and now was being controlled by her husband. Due to this, Nora compared Torvald to her father in the sense of how she is being managed. Only a doll gets everything chosen for them as they are not able to make choices of their own, which is what Nora essentially is in this play. Hence the reason why she is trying to flee from this devastating relationship. Towards the end of the play, Nora does in fact get the opportunity to essentially escape from all of it. Torvald initiates a conversation about how it was not okay for her to borrow money, keeping in mind that the money was used to help him out medically. At this point in time, Nora spills the beans. Nora replies that Torvald has never understood her and that until that evening, she has never understood Torvald. She points out that for the first time in their 8 years of marriage, they are now having a serious conversation. She has realized that she has spent her entire life being loved not for who she is, but for the role she plays. To both her father and to Torvald, she has been a plaything, a doll. She realizes she has never been happy in Torvald's dollhouse, but has just been performing for her keep. She has deceived herself into thinking that she is happy. when in truth she has been miserable. She then abandons her husband and children and exits. Nora has now essentially achieved her worthwhile goal, escaping a doll's house.